Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando. And here we are for another Monday episode.
Yeah. And today we are talking about brands that don't sell anymore. Ever. Never. You can pick them up, but you'll never be able to sell them on eBay. Okay, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration. So these brands still sell, but the velocity, the hype
just
has kind of died down. So these are brands that we maybe used to sell quickly and for high value. And now the market's not there. And we know there's lots of things, trends happen here and there, but here are some big ones that you see and you hear on, Instagram, on TikTok. You hear about these a lot.
You still see YouTube videos being made about some of these.
If you watch old YouTube videos, and that's part
current
of
ones.
Well, I'm sure. But part of the problem is when you get into reselling, sometimes, YouTube's pretty good at giving you recent stuff. But if you see stuff from a year, 2, 3 years ago, things change. And so we're talking about right now, as of today, whenever you're listening to this, no matter how much in the future. No, check the date on this. But these brands are dipped a little bit. So here we go.
Now, before we get started, though, make sure to hit that subscribe if you're not subscribed to our channel, and that like button. Just smash it, just because we love giving you info. And also hit that bell notification so you're notified whenever we drop videos. Now, I was debating with Mike before we did this, what should we title this, right? And it'd be very easy for us to make a video that just said, brands that don't sell. Well, you can go in anywhere and go, oh, this brand. That's why I was like, hey, let's make it brands that don't sell anymore, because some of these might still sell and they may still sell for good money, but you have to be very picky about what type of item you pick up. All right, so we're going to start right away. Maybe this is controversial. By the way, comment. Let us know. What are some brands that you used to pick up all the time that now you're like, never mind, not going to pick those up anymore? Comment below. All right, I'm going to start us off with the North Face. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed a dip in the North Face?
Oh, for sure. When I first started reselling, North Face is one of those things that I didn't find very often, but when I did find it, I could price it pretty high and it would sell pretty quick. Now it's definitely a little slower.
Yeah, I find even with new attack stuff right now, obviously, if you have a collab piece like North Face and Supreme or something to that effect, it will probably sell well. But even then, Supreme's kind of, and that's not one of our top 10. But anyways, North Face, be careful. Just because it's North Face doesn't mean that it's going to sell quick or it's going to sell for good money. Make sure you do that research.
Yeah, always check Terapeak too. Terapeak's a good tool to kind of tell, what's the trend going? Is there really good sell-through on this? Our next one is one of my favorite brands, Patagonia. I love Patagonia.
We're starting with the Patagonia right away, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That's like, people are going to be like, what, Patagonia? Talk to me about Patagonia.
Oh, we're coming in big with Patagonia. So, I have Patagonia hats. I've got Patagonia, for myself, Patagonia bag. I've got lots of Patagonia stuff. But, it doesn't sell like it used to. When I first started reselling, I had a few Patagonia stuff and it would instantly sell. Then maybe 7 months ago, I bought a Patagonia bag and it sat forever without selling. And I've had a few other things. I still have some Patagonia listed that has not sold. So I've noticed that now, again, they do sell, just it's not quite as high.
Yeah, and by the way, I remember this used to be called Patagucci back in the day because you could sell pretty much all of them. I remember some of the cinchilla, the pullover sweaters. Now you have to be, pretty picky. Like if you find something that has a Southwest pattern or a certain kind of puffer jacket, certain kind of hat that's vintage, it'll sell. But I'm finding right now, even new attack stuff isn't selling that well. And part of it could be because Patagonia, they actually sell their own used items too.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, be aware of Patagonia. All right. Next, this is an oldie but goodie. I don't think Mike was reselling when this was hot. So Nat Nat used to be a big deal. And a lot of it was because of Charlie Sheen and 2.5 Men. He used to wear those shirts all the time on the show. And that's before all the drama that happened with Charlie Sheen. And the shirts used to sell really well. I remember picking these up all the time and it'd be like, hey, $5, $10. And, you'd go and you'd flip it for like 50 to 60. Even if it didn't have the best design, you could just put keywords like bowling shirt and it would sell well. Now, I don't even think twice about Nat Nat. And if you disagree with us, let us know in the comments. I'm interested.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to talk about this next one too.
Let's do it.
All right. So Tory Richard used to be a Hawaiian shirt that used to be up there with like Ren Spooner or Kahala and those brands. And I got to tell you, I've recently been picking up Tory Richard because I saw a lot of Hawaiian shirts every once in a while I'm like, oh, maybe this will sell. Nope. Maybe this one. Nope. Maybe nope. Tory Richard, I would pass if it was Hawaiian shirts, unless it's ultra unique, like it's Christmas themed or it has, muscle cars on it, which I don't think there are any Tory Richard shirts like that. I would definitely make sure to pass on Tory Richard.
Yeah. And again, let us know in the comments below. Have you experienced the same thing with these brands? Or is this just our own experience? Okay, so maybe you've seen that they're still selling great for you. Maybe it's something we're doing wrong, or maybe you could say, hey, same thing for me. Our next one is Tommy Bahama. When I first started reselling, it seemed like every other video, people are like, Tommy Bahama for your mama. Like everything was Tommy Bahama. And, today, just to give you an example, I was at a garage sale and I picked up a Tommy Bahama, straw like fedora hat thing, okay. And I'm like, oh, Tommy Bahama. I got excited and I looked it up and comps on them were going for like $25. And I'm like, this guy wants $15 for this. It wasn't worth it. Whereas, I'm assuming a year, 2-3 years ago, that would have sold for pretty good money.
Yeah, agreed. And again, the only Tommy Bahama I'll pick up anymore right now is anything that has something embroidered in the back. It's like Harley Davidson or, like a vacation getaway or something in the back. But even then, you got to be careful because it's just not the same. You used to be able to sell those shirts for over $100 easy all day long. It's just not like that anymore. All right, next is LL Bean. And when I started reselling on eBay about 6-7 years ago, LL Bean used to sell really well for me, like rain jackets or just even regular jackets, pretty much any vintage LL Bean piece. And now that's not the case. The stowaway jackets, they're still a pickup. Those, how you can compact the jacket into one pocket. Like those will still sell well. But for the most part, I just sold an LL Bean jacket and I've had that thing listed, I think, for 5 years. And I was glad to let it go because the market has dipped. Unless, again, unique pieces, like if it's some kind of a boot brand, like those are so, but even those, the bean boots, do you know what I'm talking about? Like those duck boots, those used to sell really well. They just don't sell for what they used to anymore. So be careful with LL Bean. Yeah.
And you know what I've always noticed, the LL Bean stuff. And to me, when I first started reselling I kind of passed some of it up because it looked like cheesy. Like I feel like the older vintage, okay. But then I got more of an appreciation for like vintage stuff, but the color schemes and stuff were just a little like, I don't know if I like this stuff, but now I'm like, I still like them. Now I've kind of grown the taste for them. But yeah, it's a bummer they don't sell like they used to.
Yeah, no, it's not the same. All right.
Our next one is Vineyard Vines. I don't think I've ever sold anything Vineyard Vines ever.
Okay,
but I don't know if I've been looking for them to pick up.
So Vineyard Vines, there was like a peak, I would say 4 years ago, where even used, you could sell Vineyard Vines for good money. Like you just find a polo shirt for like $5, you sell it for 40 to 50. And then that went away. Then it went to like, if you find stuff for retail arbitrage and it's new, you could sell for good money. But nowadays, it's just not the same. It has to be like super unique. Like the latest thing that I had that were kind of hot for me were these Kentucky Derby sport coats that were made by Vineyard Vines. They were like $50 on clearance at an off-price store, and I had them up for like $200 to $300. But even then, people weren't willing to pay more than $150 for them. Where I would say 4 years ago, people would have paid $300 to $500 for those coats, right? So Vineyard Vines has definitely declined. Now, let me talk to you about Pendleton. Have you picked up Pendleton?
No, I think maybe I've sold one Pendleton item. Again, that's one of those things that I don't do enough like clothing, I guess, that I don't see it.
Okay. So Pendleton, now I could be wrong. So we're getting more controversial now. The next one that we're going to share, number 9, like I think everybody's agreed upon, but Pendleton, let us know. Even the vintage shirts I used to pick up all the time. I remember back in the day, you have to pick them up and put them against the light. So make sure there's no moth holes in them because Pendleton shirts were notorious for that. But just the Pendleton flannel it's just not the same anymore. Now, I would say new attack stuff that's unique, like Southwest pattern. Like if you find something that's Pendleton and Southwest pattern, those are great sellers. But if it used to be back in the day, anything Pendleton, if you just found a button-down shirt that had some plaid pattern, it didn't have to be like a lumberjack pattern or anything crazy. and you bought it for $5, you could sell it for $50. It's not this kind of like Patagonia. Patagonia used to be any button down shirt you could put up for sale and it would sell for good money. Just not the same anymore.
Yeah, and the lumberjack that look, I feel like it's dying out. You know, I was ahead of my time with the beard before the lumberjack got really popular. Then it got popular and I was like, yeah. And then now it's like, the beard, the lumberjack look, it's not as popular anymore, but that's all right. I'm a man. I'll wear a beard.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Our next one's Cole Haan. And when I first started reselling, I picked up pretty much every pair of Cole Haan shoes I could find, and they sold really fast and for pretty good money. You know, I could pick up a pair of shoes for $2 to $5, and I was selling usually on the low end for $30 all the way up to like $60 for Cole Haan shoes. Especially, you know, you find ones with like Goodyear, the soles and the tread. Yeah. And now they just don't. Like occasionally, like I've had a couple of Cole Haan, like I think I had a Cole Haan Nike crossover that did okay. But just Cole Haan in general, it just, I think now I have probably 15 of them sitting in totes and I don't pick them up anymore.
Like the fisherman sandals, those used to be money for me, right? The fisherman leather ones, you can pick them up for like $5-10, sell them for 50 to 60 year round. It's just not like that anymore. Okay, I'm gonna throw Mike in for a loop. We're gonna do a bonus.
Ooh.
Okay, now number 10 was gonna be number 9, but he mentioned Cole Haan, so I'm gonna throw number 10, Robert Graham shirts.
Ooh.
Did you ever get into Robert Graham, or was that right after, like before it died before you got?
I think it died a little bit before, so we might be a little late talking about this. But Robert Graham also had shoes, right?
Yeah, they had some shoes. I didn't do too well on the shoes.
Okay, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but there was like some snake leather shoes that I got.
No, Robert Graham shoes used to sell well too.
Okay. So I think I sold those, but I never sold any shirts or anything.
So Robert Graham, in case you're wondering, I think they were made famous from the show Modern Family, and it's their cuffs. Their cuffs are very like flamboyant, crazy designs. They're like club shirts, classy shirts, whatever you want to call it. And these used to be money. Like you'd find them for $5 to $8, and you could sell them for 100 to 150 used. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. And now even new with tags, like you'll see them all the time. My assumption is always, if things end up at a Marshalls or a TJ Maxx, like that's pretty much the end of that brand.
Yeah.
Right. It's very rare. Like you'll find some nice polo, you'll find some other nice, but I think it's usually the end of that brand.
Yeah. That, and then another good example is when Target gets like a version of it.
Unless it's Lily Pulitzer, but that's another discussion. That was years ago.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, you know, Target, it depends. Again, Target, like they had one-time Hunter boots, and those were fire. Like I think it was like a year ago. So it depends. It's interesting that you bring up the Target, because Target, it goes back and forth.
Well, what I mean though is like Target oftentimes will get like their version of the brand, like it's slightly different, right? Like they did that with the Converse. Like you had the All Stars, and then you could get the 1 stars at Target. And so I think that's what, because I remember the first pair of Converse I got, people were like, oh, those aren't even real Converse. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're Converse.
Okay, you bring a great point though, because Hunter boots have not, that again, that's another bonus. We're making this into a podcast, but Hunter boots used to be a hot brand. I mean, I could pick up those boots for $5-10, and you're right. Once he did the collaboration with Target, it hasn't been the same. It hasn't been the same.
I think it just increases the access, so there's more, they become more mass produced. And that changes the value.
So I was planning on doing overlays for all these brands, and I'm not sure we're gonna have overlays.
Maybe we just do overlays for the main ones, not all of the all the bonuses.
I'm gonna take the challenge, and you guys aren't gonna know until the end of the video whether I did it or not. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So all right, and this is the bonus. Now this may be highly controversial, but I am a person that has sold Harley Davidson from the beginning. Now, all Harley sells, and it all sells eventually. But I'm finding right now that Harley Davidson leather jackets do not sell as fast, and they do not sell for as much. Now, have you picked up a Harley Davidson leather jacket in the recent past?
No.
Okay. So I probably have in my inventory right now 20 plus. Now, you could say, Orlando, maybe you have them listed for too much, right? But the reason I stopped picking them up is because I used to sell at least 1 or 2 a month for good money. I'm talking about 200 to 300, 400. I mean, I've sold Harley Davidson leather jackets for $400, $500 dollars at times, and it's just not there anymore. And you got to be aware with Harley Davidson, the more specific to a region the jacket is, the more difficult it is to sell. right? So I have, let's say you have one for Battle Creek, Michigan or something. Like, unless somebody's from that region or they travel through that region or, whatever, they have some roots there, you're not going to be able to sell that leather jacket, right, really fast. But if you have something that's like Harley Davidson America or something, or USA, or doesn't say anything like that, chances are they're going to sell better. Now, Harley Davidson leather vests, I still sell really well. Harley Davidson shirts still sell well for me. But the leather jackets, it's just not there anymore. So be careful on what you pick up.
Maybe it's just the time of the year.
No. This is year round. We just got through the winter.
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe it's COVID related. Maybe people aren't, but they still have the huge rallies. I mean, Sturgis was still large even during COVID. So I don't know. But anyways, just be aware. So hopefully I think we had 12 brands. Just be careful when you source out there because they may not be relevant anymore. And it's part of our, our phrase here, right? So as always, make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling. Peace.